Seneca was one of the richest men in Rome. Palaces, vineyards, an immense fortune. And yet, several days a month he ate hard bread, slept on the floor, and dressed like a beggar, by his own choice. While the whole world ran after more money, more luxury, and more possessions, the most admired sages in history walked in the opposite direction. And they did not do it as punishment. They did it because they had discovered a secret that almost no one knows today. Wealth does not consist in having much, but in needing little. Think about it. You have been taught that happiness lies in accumulating, and the more you accumulate, the more tied down you are. More fear of losing, more things to maintain, more noise in your head. You work to buy things that chain you to keep working. The Stoics called that slavery by another name. In this video, you will discover 7 lessons of Stoic minimalism that can change your relationship with money, with things, and with yourself. 7 lessons for releasing what weighs you down, recovering your time, and conquering the only wealth no one can take from you, inner freedom. So get comfortable, breathe deep, and open your mind, because the first lesson begins right now. The first lesson of Stoic minimalism is that wealth does not consist in having much, but in needing little. Think about it calmly. A man who owns millions but needs millions to feel well is, deep down, a poor man. He lives in fear of losing, chained to maintaining what he has. On the other hand, a man who needs little is already rich, whatever he owns, because he lacks nothing. Seneca, who was one of the richest men in Rome, wrote that the poor man is not the one who has little, but the one who desires more. And he wrote it knowing exactly what he was talking about, surrounded by luxury, aware that none of his possessions gave him what his philosophy gave him. Epictetus, who was a slave and owned nothing, was freer than many senators. The Stoic equation is simple and devastating. Your real wealth is the distance between what you have and what you need. You can increase it in 2 ways, by accumulating more or by needing less. The first does not depend on you and has no end, because desire grows with every conquest. The second depends only on you and has a glorious end called sufficiency. When you train your mind to need less, everything you already have turns into abundance. The same house, the same food, the same clothes, suddenly they are more than enough instead of never enough. That is the secret advertising does not want you to discover. Satisfaction is not in the next purchase, it is in no longer needing it. Today, look at something you want to buy and ask yourself honestly whether you need it or whether you only need to stop desiring it. Most of the time, the answer will make you richer than any purchase. The second lesson is that many of the things you believe you own actually own you. Look around you. Every object you have demands something from you. It demands money to buy it, time to maintain it, space to store it, attention to care for it, and anxiety not to lose it. The expensive car demands expensive insurance, a garage, a constant fear of the first scratch. The big house demands cleaning, repairs, a mortgage that chains you to a job you may hate. The Stoics saw this with brutal clarity. Seneca wrote that many things that seem to serve us actually have us at their service. You do not own what you cannot let go of. If losing an object would rob you of your peace, that object has already robbed you of your freedom. The test is simple. Imagine that each of your possessions disappeared tomorrow. The ones you could lose without losing your serenity are truly yours. The ones whose loss would sink you, those are your masters. And we are not only talking about objects. You are also owned by the status you defend, the image you maintain, the comforts you no longer know how to live without. Every dependency is a chain, however golden it may be. Stoic minimalism does not mean living with nothing. It means letting nothing live through you. You can have a beautiful house, a good car, elegant clothes. The question is whether you could lose them tomorrow and remain the same man. Today, choose one single thing in your life and let it go, one that you know weighs on you more than it serves you. Give it away, sell it, release it, and notice what you feel. That small emptiness you will notice is not loss. It is space. It is air. It is one link less in the chain. The third lesson is that luxury, far from being a reward, is a silent form of slavery. It works like a perfect trap because no one sees it coming. You start by trying something better, a more expensive hotel, a finer wine, a more comfortable seat. And nothing happens, you enjoy it. But your mind adapts at a terrifying speed, and what yesterday was an extraordinary pleasure is today your new acceptable minimum. What was a gift becomes a necessity, and every new necessity is one freedom less. Seneca warned about it. There comes a moment when the things that began as whims end up being indispensable, and then you no longer enjoy them. You simply cannot live without them. The man accustomed to luxury is fragile. Any setback destroys him, because his well-being depends on conditions he does not control. He needs more money, more success, more approval just to stay where he is. He runs faster and faster to remain in the same place. The Stoics called this the wheel of desire, and they taught that the only possible victory is to step off it. Compare that man with the one who knows how to enjoy a luxury when it comes, but does not need it when it is gone. That man is invincible. He can walk among palaces and among ruins with the same calm step, because his well-being travels with him, not with his circumstances. That is the difference between using the world and depending on the world. Today, identify one luxury that has become a necessity in your life, something you once lived without and now cannot release. And go without it for a week, not to punish yourself, but to prove to yourself who is in charge. Every comfort you can do without is one less master in your life. The fourth lesson is the strangest and most powerful practice of Stoicism: voluntary poverty. Seneca, one of the richest men in the Roman Empire, set aside several days each month to live like a poor man. He ate the hardest, cheapest bread, slept on the floor on a rough blanket, wore the coarsest clothes. And while doing it, he asked himself, "Is this what I so feared?" That question is the key to everything. Because what he discovered, again and again, is that the answer was no. Hard bread feeds you. The floor lets you sleep. Coarse clothes keep you warm. The poverty he had imagined as a catastrophe turned out to be simply uncomfortable, and discomfort can be endured. That discovery made him invincible. The fear of losing everything is the chain the world uses to hold rich men, and Seneca broke that chain every month, not with theories, but with his own body. The man who has proven he can live with the minimum can no longer be blackmailed by life. He can take risks, he can say no, he can lose without collapsing, because he knows the bottom, and he knows the bottom is livable. Most of your financial fears do not come from real poverty. They come from an imagined poverty you have never touched. And what you do not know is always more frightening than what you know. That is why the Stoic goes ahead and voluntarily visits what others flee. Today, or this week, practice a small voluntary poverty. Eat simply for a whole day. Sleep without comforts for one night. Spend an entire day without buying anything at all. And while you do it, ask yourself Seneca's question: is this what I so feared? You will discover that the monster, seen up close, is only a shadow. The fifth lesson is that Stoic minimalism does not apply only to objects, but also to decisions, commitments, and occupations. Your mind, like your house, can be full of clutter. Every pending decision takes up space. Every commitment accepted because you did not know how to say no consumes energy. Every unnecessary occupation steals hours that will never return. Seneca observed with astonishment the men who jealously protected their money but gave away their time to the first person who asked for it, when time is the only thing that is truly unrecoverable. They lived busy, running from one obligation to another, confusing movement with purpose. And he warned, there is no favorable wind for the man who does not know which port he is sailing to. The Stoic solution is the same for the mind as for the closet. Keep only the essential. Marcus Aurelius commanded it of himself with a phrase that should be carved on every wall: do fewer things, but do them better, because most of what we do and say is not necessary. Ask every commitment what you would ask every object: does it serve me, or does it weigh on me? Did I choose it, or did it simply accumulate? A full calendar is not a sign of importance. Very often it is a sign that you have let others decide your life. Every yes you say to the trivial is a no you say to the essential. The man who does few things with all his soul goes further than the one who does 1,000 things halfway. Today, review your week the way you would review a crowded closet. Find one commitment, one meeting, one occupation that does not pass the essential question, and remove it. Recovering an hour of life is worth more than earning an hour of applause. The sixth lesson is that silence and empty space are not the absence of something. They are a higher form of wealth. We live in the noisiest era in history. Notifications, background music, glowing screens, shouting opinions, stimuli that do not ask permission. And we have come to fear silence so much that we fill it with anything, as if being alone with our own mind were a punishment. The Stoics thought exactly the opposite. For them, the retreat into oneself was the greatest of refuges. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by the noise of the court and of war, wrote that nowhere does a man find a quieter retreat than in his own soul. He did not need to escape to the mountains or the sea. It was enough for him to close the door of his mind for a moment and put in order what was inside. That is a luxury no money can buy and which, nevertheless, is within reach of the poorest man. Silence is where the mind digests. Without it, you accumulate experiences without learning from them, information without turning it into wisdom, days without turning them into life. Empty space in your house lets the things that matter breathe. Empty space in your calendar lets the people who matter breathe. And silence in your mind finally lets your own voice speak, the one you have not heard for weeks underneath the noise. Do not fear it. At first it is uncomfortable, like every detox. Afterwards it is a spring of clear water. Today, give yourself 15 minutes of total silence. No phone, no music, no nothing. Just you and your mind, face to face. At first they will seem empty. Very soon you will discover they were the fullest part of your day. The seventh and final lesson is the goal of all the previous ones: inner freedom. All of Stoic minimalism, needing little, releasing what owns you, escaping luxury, practicing discomfort, simplifying your life, embracing silence, points to a single conquest, the only one that matters: being the owner of yourself. Think about the road you have traveled. Every need you eliminate is one less door through which you can be blackmailed. Every possession you release is one less fear to carry. Every commitment you simplify is one more hour of your own life. At the end of the road stands a man who is very hard to buy, to frighten, or to drag along, because his center of gravity is inside, not outside. Epictetus, who was born a slave, taught that the free man is the one whose good depends only on himself. There were men with chains on their ankles who were freer than their masters, because the master feared losing his fortune and the philosopher-slave feared losing nothing. That is the final paradox of less is more. The less you need from the world, the more world you have. You can enjoy everything because you depend on nothing. You can lose things without losing yourself. You can walk through life light, with open hands, letting things come and go while you remain. That serenity cannot be bought. It is built, decision by decision, renunciation by renunciation. And it is within reach of anyone who starts today. You do not need to sell your house or wear a tunic. You need to start asking yourself, before every desire, every purchase, and every commitment, does this make me more free or less free? Today, ask yourself that question at least once, at the exact moment you are about to say yes to something new. The honest answer is the beginning of your freedom. These 7 lessons point to a single truth: you are richer the less you need. Real wealth is needing little. What you cannot release owns you. The luxury that becomes a necessity is a chain. Practiced poverty kills the fear of poverty. The simple life leaves room for the essential. Silence is a treasure that costs nothing, and all of it leads to the only conquest that matters: inner freedom, being the owner of yourself in a world that wants to buy you. You do not need to change your whole life tonight. You need to release one single thing tomorrow and another after that, until you walk light. If this video has helped you see wealth differently, hit the like button and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every night. Good night and live well.